All right, everybody, welcome back into Sports and Money, YouTube Sports and Money KC, whatever you want to call it. We are loaded again tonight. We have Corey back, Shane back, Austin back. We've got a board load of questions we're going to fill up. Thank you so much for being back. We had a ton of people who watched the show last week. We really, really appreciate that. We're going to run a mailbag here at the end. We're going to tell you how you can get in contact with us, too, over on the X if you want to. We are loaded. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Hey,
It
we're
was
doing
great.
pretty
It was a
good,
fun
man.
Great
You
weekend.
weekend.
know,
And then
another good
finally woke
day.
up here.
The
What
weather
was
was
it,
finally
Tuesday?
beautiful
Fine.
this weekend,
You guys know
Hey,
South.
sounded, hey.
and that's why I needed to refill my ointment.
I love it, man.
Madam
Way to
Web.
go.
That's funny.
All right, let's get to some NFL football. This is Shane's favorite team. We're going to make him wait to last. The New England Patriots, last I checked, still have that number 3 pick. So, question for tonight is, number one question, if you were the Patriots, what would you like to see them do with that number 3 pick and at quarterback if that's a different thing? Corey, you're up.
For the Patriots, man, I'm really excited to see what Jared Mayo does as the new head coach. I think that'll be interesting to see if he has that the Antonio Pierce effect, if he can kind of get his players and kind of get them going in a positive way. As far as the pick, I think they should make a splash here and get one of the highly touted QBs, like maybe a Caleb Williams. If he's there, he probably shouldn't be there. Maybe a Drake May, maybe Bo Nix. I'm thinking JJ McCarthy might fit them the best. I think if they want to make a splash, get somebody like Jaden Daniels or one of those, big names like Michael Penix Jr. Maybe they want to make a big splash at 3.
Love it. Austin.
Quarterback's the obvious answer, but I'm actually really, really high on JJ McCarthy, and I think you can either take him at 3 or you can try and trade down for someone who might want to come up for Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State. So
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking trade down. Someone's going to try and jump the Cardinals, or maybe just trade down with the Cardinals and grab JJ. Pick 5, 6, 7, 8, because I think you're going to have he's going to be the 4th quarterback off the board.
I love Marvin Harrison. So if I was a team lurking back there who didn't need a quarterback, I would definitely be looking to move up there for Harrison. There's no question about it. I got to think at least a couple teams are thinking about that too. Shane, it's your favorite team. Give us the download, man.
So I really thought I was going to be in the opposition of Corey and Austin, but they really hit home on some topics that I thought were important for the Patriots. So I think anytime you're talking about a first-round pick, you need to understand where the GM comes from. So you got Elliott Wolf in control of his first draft. His dad made his bucks on finding quarterbacks later on in the draft. And I think, like Austin, if I'm the Patriots, I'm looking for Minnesota to give me a call. I'm looking for other people to give me a call. I think the first 2 quarterbacks, I think Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are in a class by themselves. I think everybody else sorts down behind them. And if I'm the Patriots, I would be happy to get Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy later on. Let's try to get some more draft capital. We're a team that's in trouble. We don't have an offense to speak of. We're going to rebuild the defense, hopefully in Jared Mayo's, image, as Corey brought up, can you bring a new defensive guy in and start that again? So if it's me, I'm making that move. And I also pray the only time that I would change that is if by some stretch of the imagination, the Commanders screw up and go with Drake May, then I would take a chance with Jaden Daniels because other people are going to come screaming for him too. You can probably get even more draft capital that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great point. If you're the Patriots and you don't think you get Caleb and you don't think you get Jaden and you're not in love with Dre, which it certainly does not appear they are, then I think at that point you're looking to trade down. And there are teams like Minnesota looking to move up.
I have to say I completely disagree on Drake May. Drake May is going 2nd overall, absolutely, as he should. Jaden Daniels isn't near the NFL quarterback that Drake May is going to be.
I think the build is different.
I've watched a lot of ACC football.
Yeah.
Me too.
I see a quarterback that had talent that made bad decisions, that's shaky in the pocket.
Yeah.
Like he has arm talent. I'm not going to knock that.
He has the arm
he also
talent,
had a team, and he had a team that fell apart with him in the lead. If I'm Washington, I go ahead and make that mistake. Good for them. I don't have to worry about them. Jaden Daniels, he makes mistakes. I'm not gonna protect him. He
Yeah,
can also get knocked out, but
he's fragile.
he's a lot bigger piece for the Patriots to make a deal off of. If the Commanders take May and Daniels is around, then every other team is going to go for Daniels. I'm
Yeah.
not taking Daniels number 3. I'm not taking him number 2. Like I said, I would take a Bo Nix. I'd rather have a guy that I can play in a system that gets
Hmm.
rid of the ball. And if we need to just punt and pass it, then that's what we're going to do.
Right.
Highest completion percentage out of that group. But there are going to be teams that are going to get thirsty over Jaden Daniels because he's the one that they're looking to move up for.
Hmm.
Corey, final note on Drake May.
I feel like with Drake May, like you said, the arm talent, but other than that, I just feel like the Patriots, they need somebody, like you said, to fit the system. Somebody that'll fit their system pretty well. And I think guys like Drake May, like you said, McCarthy, I think they would fit there. But if you want to make a splash, like you said, like Free Willy back there trying to make that splash, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams type of picks, man. If that's what they want to do, they got to make a splash like him. For
All
sure.
right, Corey, 60 seconds on your favorite NFL moves of the offseason so far. Basically, let's look for 2. If you got an honorable mention, throw it in, man.
All right, so my favorite 2, of course, I'm gonna go with the Homer pick, man. The Falcons got Kirk Cousins. I'm really excited about that. I mean, we got a guy who's decent at least. Like we can expect Kirk Cousins to at least win us some games at some point, which is all I need. I'd rather have the hope we win versus oh man, we about to lose again or some whatever. As a fan, that's just how it goes for me. And then we haven't seen this type of caliber since Matt Ryan, and it's getting kind of crazy. And the second pick for me was Justin Fields to the Steelers because I feel like he'll compete with Russell Wilson, and if he doesn't get the starting job, it's not unfit for him to learn from Russell Wilson, a Super Bowl champion quarterback. I think that would help him grow, and that'll give him any extra tools he may need. But I think the Steelers kind of got away with that one.
Yeah, I love the Fields thing myself. Austin.
So the first one I want to talk about is Deontay Johnson coming to Carolina, and I think this is perfect because the
Mm-hmm.
Panthers had a absolutely atrocious wide receiver room last year. Adam
Yep.
Thielen had a pretty good season, but you're not going to get too much out of Adam Thielen. They just need a guy who can get super open to
Yeah.
just. They got to see what they've got with Bryce Young this year.
Yeah.
And having a guy who can get open as consistently as Deontay
Mm-hmm.
Johnson will do absolute wonders for Bryce Young's ability, or for the ability to evaluate Bryce Young,
Yeah.
rather.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I just had to shout out Daniil Hunter, longtime Viking, signed a 2-year, $49 million deal down in Texas or Houston for the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
Dynamite player. That defense, that whole team is getting
They're
upgraded, and
loading up. Yeah.
they were really good last year, and they're going to be scary.
Yeah. They're loaded.
Love them. Shane.
Man, I love Corey and Austin's picks on those. For me, I think if you're Kansas City and you want to keep going to Super Bowls, getting Chris Jones set up and signed away is a great move by them.
Mm-hmm.
Veach has done a great job of knowing when he has to get rid of players, let them kind of test free agency and when to pay up for people. I think that's been great. I'll piggyback on Corey. I like Pittsburgh's move, not because I really like either of the 2 quarterbacks, but when you think about it, for very little money and draft capital, you have 2 starting quarterbacks in the NFL in your
Yeah.
quarterback room
Yeah.
right now. Whether you think that they'll be able to drive that offense or not, you still have a pretty solid defense. You can make some moves in the draft now that you know that you don't need to go after a quarterback.
Yeah.
And then kind of the backup one, I know in my region, it's the one that's talked about the most, but Saquon Barkley to Philadelphia. If he
Yeah. That's
manages to
crazy.
stay healthy and you're going to give Jalen Hurts a workhorse
Yeah.
that he has not had, I think the
Yeah.
offensive line still is plug and play. They're going to miss Kelsey, but
Yeah.
Philadelphia is making moves. Again, like I said,
Yeah.
when you have a good GM and an owner that's ready to make moves for you, it's tough for you to make mistakes because even the ones that you'd miss on, you've made the good move before to be able to, back you up. But I think, like Austin said, if you're Carolina, you've made a decision. We need to change what we're doing here. And,
Mm-hmm.
going into the coaches in the NFC South, I think,
Yeah.
they made a good move in their coaching hire as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's segue right into it because I like all of those moves, and we'll talk more off season as the off season continues. Of course, we've got a little bit of a special NFL segment tonight, so we're going to pick the best and worst coaches of the NFC South, as Shane alluded to. Eventually, as the summer goes along, we're going to do this with every division in the NFL, as you can imagine. We'll mix it up on different weeks, but tonight it's the NFC South. So, Corey, give us your best coach in the NFC South and your worst, man.
Okay, so my best coach, I'm going Todd Boyles in with the Buccaneers. I mean, they've been competitive. They've won the Super Bowl within the last few years. Of course, they had Tom Brady, but Baker Mayfield managed to do pretty good. They re-signed Baker. They have he always has a way to put them in good defensive situations. Todd Bowles is a great head coach and a great defensive mind. So I'm going with Todd Bowles simply because he's got a ring. He's probably won the most seasoned. The Panthers got a new coach. We're not sure what he's got yet. Raheem Morris is a good coach, but like I said, still kind of trying to see what he has now coming from the Rams, kind of like a revamp since he was the interim coach for Atlanta. And honestly, it's Dennis Allen because I just hate the Saints. Like, and no love for them at all. And I know we weren't supposed to do that, but I'm sorry, man. No
That's all
love.
right, man. It's your pick. You
Yeah.
base it on whatever you want, man.
I hate the Saints.
All
Okay.
right, so we got a Saints hater in the house. Austin,
Yeah,
take it away, man.
if we're just being objective here and not letting our hearts make the pick, Dennis Allen's the best head coach in the NFC South. And it's not, he doesn't have to beat out too much competition. Todd Bowles is his only competition for that because the other two guys are brand new. And so it's really it's a coin flip here. Who do you like more, Allen or Bowles? And then it's kind of the same thing with the worst. You have to choose of the two new guys. Who do you think is going to be worst? And I mean, Dave Canales in Carolina, I think has the worse, or not worse, but kind of less, like his what do you call it? Like his career, his resume doesn't stack up quite as well to Raheem Morris's. So I'll go with Dave Canales because haven't seen him yet. Maybe he could be great, but if I had to take a bet on who would flop between Dave and Raheem, I think Dave probably has higher chances of flopping.
Fair enough, Shane.
So I'm gonna go worst to first. So I agree with Corey on this. I think Dennis Allen knows what he's doing, but I think he has a team that's underachieved underneath him. Sean Payton left that team. They didn't change much offensively. They've never really figured out the quarterback idea.
Right.
I mean, a lot of those decisions fall on the GM and the head coach. So, I don't put him in high esteem. I think, like Austin said, the big thing is where you go on the Raheem Morris, Dave Canales side. So, are those guys going to be able to make their move? I think Todd Bowles is the best coach in there. He's proven it at different places. He normally has a pretty good record, even with subpar talent at the stops he's had. And then, like if Austin says, I think Dave Canales has a better chance to show that he's a better coach because I actually think he has a worse team. So if they make any marked improvement, the pundits are going to say, like, look at what he did. He turned this team around. Now, does that make you a great coach, or does that mean that you actually finally just made sure that players did what they needed to be done? He did a great job offensively for Tampa. That Tampa team needed him to be a solid coordinator, and he brought Baker Mayfield along and helped them. But I would say Boyle's top, and I would put Allen at the bottom just because I don't think the team plays great for him. And I think that's probably the most important in a close NFC South.
Yes.
Here's the tough thing, and this is in every division we'll look at in the NFL. You can actually plug in a good guy at head coach, and because you didn't get the quarterback in time or you didn't get the roster built in time, he's out in 3 years, and it happens all the time. So it's kind of a lottery ticket, even if you've got a good guy. And so without slamming necessarily any of the guys we're going to be talking about, we're picking best and worst at every division. So we'll go through them all. Me personally, my highest hopes here are for Raheem Morris. He's got a quarterback. I don't know if he's going to win a Super Bowl with him, but at least he can compete every week. So my highest hopes here are for Raheem Morris. All right, that's it for the NFL tonight, unless the guys bring up something later. Appreciate that on the best and worst of the NFC South. Let's go to the men's NCAA. We did the women's last week. We're doing the men's this week. Who do you want to win this thing? We're not necessarily making predictions, but who do you want to see win the whole darn thing, Corey?
Actually, I was talking to a coworker of mine, and he kind of reminded me that it's kind of March Madness is like on the way, like it's happening. I was like, oh man, it is. And he had on a Akron Zips shirt. And I was like, yo, who's that? And he was like, the Akron Zips out of Cleveland or Ohio. They made the tournament. And I was like, well, I'm a sucker for underdog story. I'm a sucker for a Cinderella story. So let's see what the Akron Zips, what was it? Akron Zips. See what they have. They have an interesting name, interesting logo. So let's see what they got going on. But other than that, I suspect the usual suspects like UNC or Duke or something like that. But Akron Zips, I'm going with the far, far, far reacher with that one.
The Zips, baby. Let's do it, man. Austin.
Well, I mean, I got the hoodie on. I'm going with NC State, Wolfpack, ACC champs, baby. Escalade Jr., DJ Burns down in the paint. So much fun to watch. I've gotten to watch him live a few times, and it's exciting. The team's fun. They're hot right now. I'm thinking we make it past the first round, but I think likely we're getting matched up with Kentucky in the second round, which will be tough, but I'm pulling for them.
Fair enough. Shane.
Now, I like Austin's. It's going to be hard for me to say this. I'm a lifelong Duke fan. So North Carolina State definitely does not rank high up there on my choices of favorites, but they played excellent in the ACC this year and are really coming around in the tournament. I think they'll show well in the NCAA. I'm going to go chalk here. It's going to be UConn. That team is loaded. It's well coached. And I don't see anybody stopping them. Corey brought up Akron. If you want to bring people in to see a little bit of something different, Stanford is the team that I'm looking for. Stanford, they play buckyball. It's kind of a mix of the Grinnell College Division III system where you're basically just going to run a fleet of guys out there, have them run as fast as they can for as long as they can, score as many three-pointers, and press them all game long. If I'm Kansas and I have a ton of injuries, I am seriously not happy by catching them in the first round.
Wow, great point. Brutal. Quick story time here. I watched Danny and Bobby Hurley play each other when it was Seton Hall versus Duke back in 1991, and they both were just like kids. They looked like they were 16 years old out there playing, and I got to watch that. And you fast forward now, Danny's here, and I think you're right, Shane. I think UConn is the team to beat. I would be tempted to take them versus the whole darn field. Me personally, though, I just want to see total chaos. I just want to see everybody get upset, everybody get beat, and us have, I don't know, Florida Atlantic versus Akron for the national title. I mean, that's what I'm rooting for here, ultimately.
I also think that this is a year where, you guys being in the South Carolina, North Carolina region, there's a lot of great teams in that region to follow. Charleston, there's going to be some upsets there where those teams that are kind of that mid-major, I hate to say mid-major now because everybody could now be, if you're not a top supreme team, you're a mid-major now. That kind of group has increased. But I think that that's going to be a group. Another one that's kind of on that shaky side, McNeese State. Will Wade at LSU, whether it's by hook or by crook, wins an awful lot of games. And that team went from nothing to pretty impressive in his first year there. I'd watch out for them too. But like everybody said, I love watching upsets. I want to see, if a bracket gets busted, I can handle if it's coming from that. I love to see those type of upsets, especially when it's completely different ways that teams play.
Well, okay. Have y'all seen or the story's out? The script has been leaked. Longwood.
Oh, no.
Longwood is trending to upset number 1 ranked Houston, and if you ask me why, I've got good reasoning here. Since 2021, a top 2 seed has been defeated by a team with like a phallic or euphemistic name. In 2021, you had Oral Roberts beat number 2 Ohio State. In 2022, St. Peter's defeated number 2 Kentucky, and then last year you had Farley Dickinson upset a number 1 seed in Purdue. So Longwood, up against a number one. I mean, the script's laid out for you guys. Come on.
This is information you're not getting at every podcast. So Austin has definitely brought that into my vernacular now.
That's amazing.
I did not know that. I'm not sure I wanted to, but now we know, and you've heard it here first. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Austin.
Never thought about it like that.
File that under the Grady Dick winning at Kansas philosophy.
Yeah.
All right, that's the men's NCAA. In a week or two, we're going to have these guys dip back into both NCAAs and make some more picks coming out of there. We got another game coming that I haven't even told the guys about called 10-5-1, and we'll give them a chance to see how good they actually can pick some stuff, myself included. So that'll be fun as well. Keep an eye on that. Let's move on to the best question of the night, the most important question of the night, the one I'm looking forward to personally the most, and that is I phrased it the best wrestler of all time. If you want to lean toward favorite, that's fine. You can leeway this. You craft it how you want to. But this is the question of the night. Corey, best wrestler of all time.
Man, honestly, this was a great question, man. I started getting all those good memories, and I was laughing about. I was debating on who I wanted to choose because for me, it's always been two people. It's always been Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like those two guys to me is timeless. Like they were just reckless abandon. I just loved like that Attitude Era was just crazy. They talked great trash, all-time personalities, former football players, former athletes. You know, they talk cash stuff. They just talk all kind of trash. And I don't know if a lot of that stuff would slide nowadays, but they had great finishing moves. I mean, they did outlandish stuff, you know, especially Stone Cold when it came to like getting a crane or running somebody over. Like, yo, it was crazy. And then as far as honorable mentions, I got to give my shout out to the Hardy Boys, you know, jumping off of everything as a young lad. That's all we used to do, jump and flip off of stuff. So the Hardy Boys, and then Undertaker, and then Kane. You know, the young legend was we thought they were brothers, but turns out they was never brothers. But stuff like that, man, we was really into it back then, really into it.
I love it. Austin, I'm interested to see where you're going with this because I think let me just leave it at that. Let me see where you're going with this, Austin.
Listen, I'm gonna need you to hold up that sign.
Okay.
Oh no. I'm not a wrestling guy. The only name I can think of from my childhood is Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who we used to try and do some of his moves on the trampoline back, you know, when I was a young lad. So that's the name I'm gonna throw out.
619.
Yes, Mysterio. Yeah, Mysterio was a work of art. You know, tiny little box is what he was. Shane, big wrestling fan? Not at all. Where are you sitting?
I am. So I had a feeling that this was exactly where this was going, Ben. But I will say I'm also a big fan of the other March Madness, which is NCAA wrestling. So on that end, I would say Cale Sanderson and John Smith. Now, if we get to the professional wrestling, the answer is Ric Flair. It's nobody else. The greatest show. I mean, I could go down a YouTube wormhole listening to Ric Flair describe what he's done on his weekend, what he's going to do in the match coming forward, and how much he doesn't care about what you're wearing or where you're from. My second on that, Bret the Hitman Hart. Loved him growing up. Wasn't flashy, but never broke character. Since Corey basically named a starting five, I'll name one more for pure entertainment. HBK, kid, was one of the first ones that was smaller, ran all around the room, had the ladies screaming when he took off the outfit. But those would be my ones. I think Corey had some great ones. I even like Austin's, even though this isn't his deal.
Sweet chin music.
Yes, I love all of that. For me, I'm right where I'm right where Corey is. Okay, so it's Stone Cold and it's The Rock right together. I'm ultimately going to end up with Stone Cold. Just watching him, hearing the glass shatter, watching him stomp into the arena like the redneck that he was, and then just walk right in. We'd never seen a guy. We'd never even seen them allow a character to do that, to just walk right in and just, you know, basically beat the crap out of somebody that way with that much attitude. But they let him do
And the
it, and then
bear.
that just kind of spread. You know, if he didn't have Triple H and Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels
Yeah.
and The Rock to bounce all that stuff off of, and
Yeah.
McMahon, he couldn't have done as much. But
That's
still,
true.
I just loved his character, the crazy, ridiculous attitude. And Corey, you're right. They could not have done that kind of stuff today. It has changed a good bit from what they were being allowed to do, and they were
Yeah.
pushing the limits. But I loved it. Love Flair. Love Bret the Hitman Hart. I absolutely hated when he went over to WCW. I thought they ruined his character completely across the board. But when he was in the WWE, I absolutely loved it. I'm going to stop now because we need to keep this thing moving. But any one last memory or honorable mention here from any of you on the wrestling side?
I'll go on for
All
days,
right.
man.
Yeah, we got to stop somewhere. So, all right, we're going to do mailbag, and then I'll give you guys your last 60 seconds, okay? So I mentioned we had a whole bunch of you watch the show last week, the first episode. We really, 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 really appreciate it. More of you than we actually expected, and we were looking for actually an increase this week as well. But we had some mailbag stuff come in, so let me read it off really quick. We had, looks like Bert Rojas, 3658, said, Chiefs, back-to-back Super Bowl champs. You know it, baby. Enjoy it. That's extremely rare. So, Chiefs fan, absolutely enjoy that. Charlie Rogers, 50, came in. I've known Charlie for a very long time, never in person, but for many, many years over the airwaves, basically. He said, you're the man. I've been a Chiefs fan my entire life, born and raised in KC, season ticket holder for over 15 years. How do I get on this show as a resident Chiefs fan? Charlie, and this is to everybody, at Ben Park 79. Okay, that's my Twitter handle, my X handle. Reach out to me there. Feel free to DM me. And this goes for anybody, but Charlie's first in line because I've known him for so long. But for anybody who wants to be a guest on this show, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to deep dive. Just have an opinion and be ready for, for us to laugh about it or whatever. Okay, so if you want to jump on the show, or if you know somebody who wants to be a guest on the show, we might have a little bit of a line. You might have to wait 2 or 3, 4 weeks to be a guest on, but you're welcome to hop on and be a guest on the show, represent your kingdom, your nation. Do it absolutely. So, Charlie, by all means, reach out. And then we had, looks like Deputy DF 3018 said, now you just need some insight from a Cowboys fan. Great show. Gave you a like and a follow. So, thank you very much. You're right. We do need insight from a Cowboys fan. So, by all means, again, hit us up on Twitter and X, and we will be glad to have you as a guest on the show. If you do great at it, we might even have you come on back for a second, third appearance. If you do lousy at it, oh well, at least you tried, right? So don't be afraid, don't be worried about it. Come on in, give us your thoughts, and we'll give you the questions maybe a few days ahead of time, but just hit us up. All right, Corey, last 60 seconds, man. What you got?
Well, I decided to go with something. It's something fun, but it's still kind of sad in the same way. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and I just want to give a small little nod to Akira Toriyama, and for all the art and all the stories and all the opening of ideas he spread across the world. It's inspired me in a lot of ways. Like I said, big Dragon Ball Z fan. I got figurines. I'm one of those guys. I got a few figurines. I got you know, I'm a big fan, big fan. So I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
rest in peace, Akira Toriyama.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely love that. Austin.
Well, listen, my movie review last week was such a hit. I figured I'd go with another movie review. I'm gonna go.
Let's do it, man.
I'm gonna go with an Amazon Prime movie right now. It's called Ricky Stenicki, and the actor in it. This ties in really well. The actor
Yes,
in
it does.
John Cena.
John Cena. I've seen the preview for that.
It's so funny. Zac Efron and John Cena absolutely kill it, as long as all the other actors. It's probably the funniest movie I've seen all year. Definitely, probably my second favorite movie of the year. I mean, nothing's gonna top Dune 2 for me this year. But Ricky Stenicki right now holding down a nice, solid second place. Just a real good, feel good movie. A lot of laughs in it. Maybe pulls on some heartstrings kind of late, as all the movies do, but just laughs all the way through, and definitely worth the watch. It's not a super long movie, which I feel like all movies these days have to be, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
This one comes in right under the 2-hour mark, so you can just watch it and one evening after dinner and have a good time and a laugh.
Austin's movie review. We look forward to more, man. And John Cena, in the news for a lot of different reasons this week, so it ties in good with our with our wrestling
John Cena
segment
wilding,
as
man.
well.
John Cena
Shane, what you
wilding.
got?
First, I wanted to give a shout out to Corey. I have the orca whale in the background. A shout out to Austin because I did not go see Madam Web. And also another Zac Efron in a great wrestling movie, Iron Claw.
Yeah.
So if you really want to tie everything back in, we can pull it that way. For my one little part, I thought I would go the sports world again. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch Rugby Sevens, you can catch it on NBC, but it's the fastest version of rugby out there. You'll see those are the players that you don't see some of those giants that you see in the rugby league. But Rugby Sevens, it's back and forth. It's 14 minutes a half. A ton of tries are scored, and you're going to see some players that have some legitimate speed from what you're seeing. And the NFL this last couple of years has been recruiting heavily from rugby to try to see players come over from their international market. You're not going to see Jordan Mailata playing sevens, but that's another rugby guy that's come over in the NFL. But it's one of the things I enjoy watching. You can catch it on Peacock. But it's interesting to be able to see the talent both on the men's and women's side. So a little sports thing, if you have a little bit extra time, you're not watching March Madness, you haven't pulled up Ricky Stenicki for the third time to be able to catch all the jokes, but that's my standout.
I love it. I have not seen it yet, the Rugby 7, so I will go by and look at it when I get the chance over on YouTube. Two quick things for me, and we are out for the night. Number one, Austin's got a podcast called Tricky Takes on Apple and Spotify with a couple of his friends. He mentioned it last week. I want to give a little bit more attention this week. I've got a sign coming. You'll see it up here in a week or two as well. So go check out the Tricky Takes podcast. And last but not least, me and my wife celebrated an anniversary today. We went out and celebrated last night. So happy anniversary. I love you and really enjoy being not lonely and having somebody to go through life with. So happy anniversary.
That's what's up.
Guys, great job,
So
man.
there was a reason for the jacket, Ben.
Yes, there was.
It was anniversary date night.
Hey, I put it
guy.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. We will see you next week. Have a great one. Goodbye.